Hi everyone, Victor is here. Here I'm drawing another picture in my sketchbook. On this double spread page I captured a day of my life when I went to a barber shop for a haircut and then went to a car wash. These two places seemed perfect for sketching as I had to wait in a queue for quite a long time. I get a haircut on average once every 2 months. When I used to have long hairs, I did cut my hair much less often. This is an A5 format sketchbook, which seems the most suitable for me. Not too big to be noticed from a long distance when I'm sketching in public, and not too small to express myself freely without the limitation of a too small page size. The practice of daily sketching, as in the case of any other skill you want to build, is a matter of showing up to your work desk and opening your sketchbook. It doesn't need to be perfect or have a real goal, because you are doing it for fun, and what is fun you want to repeat. If you buy a sketchbook, make sure to check it over to have mentioned that it is acid-free. Otherwise, an acid-treated paper will turn yellow and will crumble like the old papers. I haven't gone to an art store for more than a month, as I'm trying to save money and use up the stocks of art supplies I have already purchased. Anyway, I really like going to art stores and hanging out for a long time there. There are so many colors and smells, it just helps me to relax. For this drawing I'm using a fineliner pen, which is suitable for architectural subjects. The subject of this picture is an old traditional house I saw at the National Village Museum in Bucharest. I visited a few months ago, but I took pictures with my phone for later reference in sketching. I like drawing from my own photos because of copyright concerns, and also because a photograph is already a finished work of art, where creative process was put in, and I don't feel comfortable using others' photos as my reference, as I feel that I'm taking advantage of others' work. There are also photos with no copyright, such as Google Street View. I tried a few times to draw after I took print shots of Google Street View, though the image needs to be edited to correct the perspective, as the camera on Google Street View takes really wide-angle photos. Or you can edit mentally the picture and sketch the desired effect directly on paper. That's the beauty of drawing. You can edit whatever you want, which the camera cannot do. If you choose to edit the print screen to be close to the correct perspective, the street view should be zoomed out, and the virtual viewer should be as far as possible from the building you want to draw. Anyway, there are places where the Google Street View doesn't go, as these areas are pedestrian, though I have seen that in such places a bicycle was used instead of a car. I could guess this by the shadow of the bicycle casted on the pavement. Once I was photographed by such a camera on a car. I checked the maps of the place later and I was there, but with a blurred face, as Google does with faces and car plate numbers. The Village Museum in Bucharest is one of my favorites in the city. It was opened to the public in 1936, 3 years before the Second World War. It is really quiet as it stretches over a large surface with patches of dense trees at the edges. So the noise of the cars is filtered by the thick foliage of the trees. The open-air museum has traditional houses from different areas of Romania and different time periods. The houses are of natural size, either moved entirely from their original place or rebuilt as one-to-one replicas from the original models. Also, the authentic households with coops, sheds, hangars, wells, ovens are around the houses. At that time, people were really autonomous, with all they needed around the house. They didn't rely on grocery stores, everything was produced in their houses. from their food to their handmade clothes and shoes. Also, there are wind and water mills by the houses that are originally from rivers, lakes or sea settlements. There are also original wooden boats. Many rustic pathways connect these households, creating the impression of a cute village from a fairy tale. In most of the houses there are authentic pieces of furniture, tools, carpets, crockery, toys. The houses used to be really tiny, with small windows, low ceilings. In some of them you need to bend to enter. The houses are built from different kinds of materials: wood, stone, bricks, clay and straws. I like the smell that is inside of these houses that seems to transport you in those old times. It is like a time machine. It smells like the countryside. It is a mixture of smells from straws, wood, clay. There is even an old church with a really long wooden tower with a roof wooden shingles. Also, there is a picturesque lake where the water houses and water mills seem very natural, as if it were at their home. The museum is mostly on a slope, making the impression of a hilly area. Every house exhibit tells us a story on a board in front of each gate, and there are maps with their original location in Romania. I like drawing log houses because they generally don't have straight lines and they have a lot of texture. So there is plenty of room to play with squiggly lines and texture. Sometimes I find my inclination to draw straight lines as if they come with the aid of a ruler. Perhaps straight lines are sought and required in architectural drawings, but I like crooked, imperfect lines. I never thought that I would end up drawing so many houses. Maybe it's because this kind of subject is largely available in any populated area. You go outside and see houses. Maybe if I had lived in an isolated area, in the forest, in a field, in the mountains, and there were no houses around, I would have ended up drawing landscapes or natural subjects. There are also natural objects in cities, such as trees or bushes, but they are so perfectly trimmed, so it doesn't attract me to draw them. I would like to draw people and animals, but they move so it's difficult to capture a close resemblance on the go. So now and then I draw portraits or human figures from photographs. I also try to draw from life, with quick gestural marks. There were times when I went to life drawing classes where a model would stay for 10 or 15 minutes in a position, then would change it. Then I drew with charcoal on large sheets of paper. Another obscure reason to draw a house that comes to my mind is that what can go wrong with drawing a house, especially if this is not a known landmark and the viewer doesn't see how it looks in reality. You can get away with some mistakes or omissions, though omissions might be considered simplification or artist license. For me, houses are exercises with the cube that art students draw until they are sick of it to learn the perspective and proportions. Only I don't get sick of drawing houses and enjoy doing this because compared to a plain cube, houses are all different and cannot get bored. Hopefully this kind of exercise will help me to draw people. But I heard that drawing the same kind of subjects will make you good at them and not necessarily for others, such as in the music. If you practice doing scales every day, you will end up being good at doing scales and not at interpreting complex works of music. I used to learn how to play guitar, and as an amateur I would avoiding playing scales as my teacher would recommend. I wanted to combine something pleasant with immediate gratification, such as knowing how to play Nothing Else Matters, with something hopefully useful for my long-term learning of guitar. The problem with the immediate result was that I was learning mechanical movements of my fingers and I didn't understand the music, nor did I know the notes I was playing. It was easier and faster for me to follow the music tabs, a simplified graphic representation where the strings and fingers have some numbers, rather than to struggle with music sheet reading. I tried music reading but was so slow to read that I was struggling more to read notes rather than playing the actual guitar. Anyway, houses are fun to draw and not necessarily a means to an end. They're like living creatures in a story, and looking at them can sparkle your imagination with stories where they're incredible characters. For me, drawing houses are props to build memories, as I remember vividly places and times when I drew them. I remember how the weather was, the color mood of the day, the richness of ambient sounds such as the rustle of the leaves in the trees, the murmur of the water of a river, the chirping of birds, the barking of some dogs. I remember how I was feeling on those days. This kind of journaling helps me to connect with myself and my surroundings. Memory is a weird thing, as with a little help of such meditative practice can reveal something unexpected and extraordinary. I'm using a minimal color choice for this sketch. I like this kind of illustration, where the subject is very colorful and the background is left white. For me, this kind of interpretation evokes a scene when huge white clouds cover the entire sky, so the blue of the sky can't be seen, and the foreground cannot also be seen because of the white mist. Such simplification also creates a high contrast between the subject and the background, which I have noticed in children's book illustrations when I'm reading to my daughters. Illustrating children's books is on my bucket list, and hopefully I will do it someday. Adding shadow with a gray pencil adds depth and contrast to the picture. I could have also used a marker, but I like the sensorial experience of the pencil, and the pencil marks add texture to the house. This pencil is very soft and slides easily on the paper. It's very satisfying. Payne's gray of the pencil has a bluish tint to it, which contrasts well with the yellow of the house. Thank you for watching. Bye!